Imagine pressing your finger against glass. You leave behind a pattern you cannot see. That pattern is almost uniquely yours. Every fingertip carries tiny ridges. They form loops, arches, and whorls. But fingerprints are more than identity markers. They begin forming before you are born. And nobody completely controls the pattern they receive. Your fingerprints are shaped by genes, but they are also shaped by the environment inside the womb. Even identical twins have different fingerprints. So why does your body create these strange patterns? And what are they actually doing? To understand that, we need to look beneath your skin. Your fingertips are covered with raised ridges. Between those ridges are tiny grooves. Together, they create your fingerprint. These ridges are called friction ridges. They are found on your fingertips, palms, and the soles of your feet. Their name gives away one important clue. They create friction. Friction helps your fingers grip objects. Imagine trying to hold a glass with perfectly smooth fingertips. Your fingers would slide more easily. The ridges change the way your skin contacts the surface. They also help your fingertips interact with tiny surface textures. That may make handling objects easier. But grip is probably not the whole story. Your fingerprints also contain sweat pores. Tiny openings release sweat onto the ridges. When you touch something, that sweat can leave a pattern behind. This is why fingerprints can sometimes appear on smooth surfaces. But the mystery goes deeper. Your fingerprints begin developing surprisingly early. Around the 2nd and 3rd months of pregnancy, the fingertip surface begins changing.
The deeper skin layers influence how the ridges develop. Then something remarkable happens. Small differences inside the womb begin shaping the final pattern. Pressure matters. Position matters. Blood flow may matter. The developing tissues around each finger also matter. Even the exact movement of a developing fetus may influence the final details. This creates enormous variation. That is why your fingerprint pattern is extremely difficult to duplicate. Even identical twins begin with nearly identical genetic instructions, yet their fingerprints are not identical. Their genes help create the basic architecture. Their prenatal environment helps create the fine details. It is like building two houses from the same blueprint. The structure may look similar, but tiny construction differences make every final detail different. Francis Galton studied fingerprints systematically in the 19th century. His 1892 book helped establish fingerprints as a serious method of identification. He also showed that fingerprint patterns could be classified. 3 broad patterns became especially famous: arches, loops, and whorls. Most fingerprints contain one of these basic structures, but the details inside those structures are incredibly complex. Tiny ridge endings create additional differences. Ridges can split, they can stop, they can form small islands. These tiny features create distinctive patterns. That is why 2 fingerprints can look similar from far away, yet become dramatically different under magnification. So, are fingerprints really unique? Scientists generally treat them as highly distinctive. But proving absolute uniqueness for every human is another question. There are billions of people. There are countless possible ridge combinations. And fingerprints are remarkably persistent. They usually remain stable throughout your life. Your skin grows, your body changes, but the basic ridge pattern stays. Why? Because the pattern is established deep within developing skin.
The outer skin is constantly replaced. The underlying structure keeps guiding the new surface. That is why your fingerprint returns after ordinary cuts heal. Unless deeper tissue is permanently damaged, the original pattern generally returns. This stability made fingerprints extremely useful. Police began using fingerprint evidence more widely during the early 20th century. Governments adopted fingerprint records. Courts eventually accepted fingerprint comparison in many countries. A pattern that began developing before birth became an identification tool. But fingerprints have another strange feature. They may help you feel the world. Your fingertips are packed with sensory receptors. These receptors detect pressure, movement, vibration, and texture. The ridges change how mechanical forces reach the skin. They may help amplify certain vibrations during touch. Researchers have studied this relationship for decades. Some experiments suggest fingerprints interact with sensory systems in surprisingly precise ways. So those little ridges may do more than identify you. They may help your brain understand what your fingers are touching. Think about picking up a coin. You do not need to see every detail. Your fingertips can detect its edges. They can detect its surface. They can detect tiny changes as you move it. Your brain turns those signals into a feeling of texture, and your fingerprints are part of that system. But there is still an evolutionary mystery. Why did humans develop such detailed ridge patterns? Scientists have proposed several explanations. Improved grip is one. Better tactile sensitivity is another. Protection of the skin may also play a role. But researchers still debate exactly how much each function matters. Evolution does not always create one feature for one reason. A structure can have several effects. Some can be useful. Some can simply be consequences of development. Fingerprints may be one of those complicated traits. They are useful for identification today. But identification was certainly not their original purpose. Your ancestors did not need fingerprints to unlock phones. They needed hands that could interact with their environment. And those hands evolved long before modern technology. The same ridges that help your fingers interact with objects can now unlock a device. A biological feature millions of years in the making has become part of digital life. That is an extraordinary transformation. Your fingerprint is also a record of development. It tells a strange story about your time before birth. Your genes created the framework. Your environment added tiny variations. And chance helped fill in the final details. Nobody chose the pattern. Nobody designed it consciously. Yet you carry it everywhere. Every time you touch a surface, you leave microscopic evidence of yourself. Most of the time, you never notice. Your fingerprint is invisible until something reveals it. A little sweat? A special powder? A scanner?
A camera. Suddenly, the hidden pattern becomes visible. And there it is. A pattern created before you were born. A pattern that survives almost your entire life. A pattern shared with no one exactly. So the next time you look at your fingertips, look closer. Your fingerprints are not just marks on your fingers. They are a permanent record of how you became you.